is that it signified the end of a decades-long approach in foreign policy that I think was a break from the precedent set by our founding fathers. We had a long experiment in our foreign policy that traded national defense and the maintenance of our alliances for nation building and meddling in foreign countries' affairs, even when those foreign countries had very little to do with core American interests. What we're seeing from President Trump is a generational shift in policy with profound implications for the job that each and every one of you will be asked to do. Now, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, our policymakers assumed that American primacy on the world stage was guaranteed. For a brief time, we were a superpower without any peer, nor did we believe any foreign nation could possibly rise to compete with the United States of America. And so our leaders traded hard power for soft power. We stopped making things, everything from cars to computers to the weapons of war, like the ships that guard our waters and the weapons that you will use in the future. Why did we do that? Well, too many of us believed that economic integration would naturally lead to peace by making countries like the People's Republic of China more like the United States. Over time, we were told the world would converge toward a uniform set of bland, secular, universal ideals, regardless of culture or country. And those that didn't want to converge, well, our policymakers would make it their goal to force them by any means necessary. So instead of devoting our energies to responding to the rise of near-peer competitors like China, our leaders pursued what they assumed would be easy jobs for the world's preeminent superpower. How hard could it be to build a few democracies in the Middle East? Well, almost impossibly hard, it turns out, and unbelievably costly. And it wasn't our politicians who bore the consequences of such a profound miscalculation. It was the American people, to the tune of trillions of dollars, but more than anyone, it was borne by the people who were in your shoes just a few short years ago, by our service members and their families. The tens of thousands of warfighters who sacrificed precious time, energy, and in some cases their very lives in the line of duty. They are the ones who bore the costs of past failure. Our leaders abandoned clearly stated strategic goals for lofty, often incoherent abstractions. This is how, for example, we wound up chasing a $230 million pier in Gaza that worked for a grand total of 20 days while injuring over 60 American service members in the construction and maintenance of that pier. Our government took its eye off the ball of great power competition and preparing to take on a peer adversary, and instead we devoted ourselves to sprawling, amorphous tasks like searching for new terrorists to take out while building up faraway regimes. Now, I want to be clear. The Trump administration has reversed course. No more undefined missions. No more open-ended conflicts. We're returning to a strategy grounded in realism and protecting our core national interests. Now, this doesn't mean that we ignore threats, but it means that we approach them with discipline, and that when we send you to war, we do it with a very specific set of goals in mind. And consider how this played out in just the last major conflict we engaged in with the Houthis over in the Middle East. We went in with a clear diplomatic goal, not to enmesh our service members in a prolonged conflict with a non-state actor, but to secure American freedom of navigation by forcing the Houthis to stop attacking American ships. And that's exactly what we did. We pursued that goal through overwhelming force against Houthi military targets. In just the first 100 days of the administration, we were able to reach a ceasefire in a conflict that have been ongoing for nearly 2 years. That's how military power should be used, decisively, with a clear objective. We ought to be cautious in deciding to throw a punch, but when we throw a punch hard, and we do it decisively, and that's exactly what we may ask you to do. Now, that shift in thinking from ideological crusades to a principled foreign policy will help restore the credibility of American deterrence in 2025 and beyond. With the Trump administration, our adversaries now know when the United States sets a red line, it will be enforced. And when we engage, we do so with purpose, with superior force, with superior weapons, and with the best people anywhere in the world.
'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that